UCLA's men's basketball class of 2022, this season, the 2022-23 season, keeps getting better. It grows and higher in its recruiting. But who is the guy Mick Cronin says is the most elite? Maybe not that word exactly. He said, this guy is elite. Expect big minutes from this guy. Who is this guy? Is it Zack Handy? Is it Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer? No, we might be elite talking about it. Who knows? We'll try to be as we get Locked On UCLA started.
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks once again for tuning in to Locked On UCLA, for making it your first listen each and every day. We're on YouTube. We are on wherever you can get your podcasts, on any podcasting apps. Thanks for making it your first listen each and every day, as this episode is brought to you by BetOnline. They've got the best odds and best information for your sports wagering information to bet on college football. That's coming up as we welcome in Zack Handy. He is at Zachariah Handy on Twitter if you want to follow him, from Fox Sports. He is also our de facto kind of betting enthusiast, if you will. We'll get over some odds, lines, and game for week 1 of the college football season, or week 0, whatever we're calling it, as college football starts this week. Limited games. We'll go over that in segment 2. Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer, your D1 play-by-play broadcaster and diehard Bruins fan. And most importantly, who is that elite player? Mick Cronin was talking about Adem Bona, and that's why we should get hyped up with this Bruin A class for the men's basketball season, baby.
I'm ready.
And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA fight. So we are all excited for this UCLA season. Recently, Mick Cronin was quoted as saying, Adem Bona is an elite basketball player. Elite, as Zach and I were talking about it, these quotes, and I sent you something. This was recently tweeted out by John Rothstein, who he himself just talked about, and on a recent episode with your brother, Zach, how we were talking about how Jaime Jaquez Jr. could be the best wing in college basketball. Could he? He's very lethal. But what could Adem Bona bring for this UCLA freshman big man? This is what Mick Cronin, the head coach of the Bruins, had to say. I am not going to shy, quote unquote, away from it. He is an elite player. What's some more about Adem Bona, Zach?
You know, he is what you think of when you think of like a Mick Cronin big man recruit. He's not 7'2". He's a little undersized for a big man. He's 6'9", but he's 225, and he is as athletic as they come. You think back to Mick's Cincinnati days and how his teams were just built on grind you down, athleticism, and defense. This guy is cut straight from that mold. It's a little raw on offense, but he's going to clean the glass and he's going to lock it down, spring out of the building with athleticism as far as jumping is concerned. So I think his ability to really affect the game defensively, and then as a big, use that athleticism in transition and help himself on offense. He's just a standard, gritty, grindy, athletic, defensive guy that you would expect Mick Cronin to get his hands on. And he's going to need to play like big minutes. Mick talks about it in the article that you already referenced. But we're thin. We are thin in the front court, and we are going to need this guy to play big minutes. Miles Johnson has recently departed. Cody Riley, after 15 years in a UCLA uniform, it felt like. He has now departed as well.
Matt Etienne's coming off injury,
and he seems to be still young. Injured. He's very young, but it feels like he's been injured or just hasn't been able to make the rotation his entire time at UCLA. David Nwuba is, coming back, and granted, he gave us some good minutes last year, but he's still a little raw himself. You're probably looking at the most talented big man on the roster in Bona.
Yeah, Bona is that freshman. You mentioned his size. It doesn't seem like he really wants guys taller than like the 6'9", 6'10". He likes the undersized. That's where Cody Riley comes in, right? That's how he fit in so nicely. And that's why Cody Riley was so impactful coming for that Final Four run, and why everybody was so excited that Cody Riley was a part of that piece that stayed with the Johnny Juzangs and the Bernards and the Jaime Jaquez of 2021 into this 2022 year. But now the Bruins flip the page, and while their recruiting class keeps going higher, especially with the adding and addition of Abramo Zanca from Italy, you have an international guy himself in Adem Bona, who I believe is listed, if you look at the website, from Nigeria, but he plays for Turkey. What was the numbers you were looking up about how he was elite in one of those recent European tournaments?
2022 FIBA Under 20 European Championship, he averaged 17 points and 10.9. We'll call it 11 rebounds a game, and 2.4. We'll call it 2 blocks. That's over a course of 7 games.
So he sits there. He was scoring the basketball, more than 10 rebounds a game, close to 11, and altering the game defensively. Maybe not the same numbers that Abramo Zanca was posting internationally, who was playing for Italy and then playing in that Russian Super League 1 before getting his eligibility cleared up. But those are 2 international guys that now with Ivo Simovic, as I've detailed before, UCLA can start grabbing international guys. And Bona and Zanca are the start of guys UCLA can start filtering the roster with, not just guys, blue-collar guys from some part of the U.S. we've never heard of, or just local guys, high-star athletes. It's getting the international experience mixed in with the elite athlete on the American side, and you mix those together, and Bona, who now Mick Cronin has some high praise for, it's like, whoa, you got to expect him, look for him to come up.
And I may have undersold the offensive potential a little bit in the first. I mean, even Mick says in the article that he's a much better offensive player than even he anticipated. And I mean, even if he's just cleaning up the glass the whole game and catching lobs, I mean, 17 points a game is 17 points a game. Like, that is a serious offensive impact in that tournament. If he can bring some of that to the Bruins this year, Jaime is going to need help on offense. I mean, the Bruins are returning 4 players, and they are all players who played a big role for UCLA over the last couple of years. Jaime, Tiger, Jalen Clark, especially last year, especially later in the year, had such an emergence on the UCLA team. And he loves to guard guys bigger than him, but he's not a big himself. And then you have David Singleton, who can shoot it from the outside and is also a good piece for us. Those 4 returning, we still need some help offensively, especially in the front court, especially Jaime down low. You can't be the only one scoring around the rim. You're going to need someone else down there. And I think Bona has the potential to really be that guy to play a lot of minutes and really impact the team.
Yeah, Locked On UCLA. We're excited for football season. That's around the corner. Basketball season, not too far around the corner, depending which program it is and how close they are to school. Those summer workouts are coming up to an end. And then the schools going back into school, or the ones going to start in a month, they need their couple of weeks of off time and downtime before they get back to what is in school, kind of the buildup from summer workouts to the start of the season, as the Bruins are excited to have Bona. You can't forget Amari Bailey, Abramo Zanca. So many guys, just all these guys pulled, 2 from Sierra Canyon, 1 more of a walk-on in Magikian, Bailey, just all these guys. You look at the roster, you look at all these guys, and you're just excited. It's not going to look pretty early. I think, in my perspective, this UCLA roster, even Bona, even these guys, I don't expect it to look good early. They have some easy cupcake games at home, but it's not going to look good early. The pride of Mick Cronin's teams are usually, we're not going to look good early. We will just figure it out when it matters. And except for last year, it just seemed like in 1920 and in 2020 and 2021, his teams truly figured it out at the end of the year.
That's kind of always, I think that's just more like a testament to the style that Mick Cronin is. He's going to get in his players. He's going to test them mentally. He's going to test them physically as well. And he's going to kind of explore his team until he really can bring them together for that final stretch. Mick Cronin truly understands that in college basketball, unlike college football, it is a marathon, not a sprint. College football, it is a sprint, and one hiccup, you lose that race. The marathon, we can always make up ground later. You get hot at the right time. That's how Mick Cronin kind of coaches his teams. And you can see that in every team he's ever been a part of, going back to as an assistant with Rick Pitino in the Louisville days. And now, when he went to Cincinnati and now at the Bruins, that's kind of always been a thing with Mick Cronin is, I'm going to test you guys early, mentally, physically. I'm going to play with my pieces until I find what really works here. And then when we get closer to March, we're really going to take that works, and we're going to go full force into the tournament.
And what was that article you referenced? It was on collegehoopstoday.com, where Mick Cronin was quoted as saying he's an elite player. And what was the other comparison he made to Adem Bona? Something
he talks about the positive vibe and the infectious smile that Bona brings to the team. And Mick says he's such a good teammate. Personality-wise, he brings such a smile and positive vibe to your team. I haven't seen something like that since I recruited Francisco Garcia to play for Rick Pitino at Louisville. And anyone who remembers those Louisville teams back in the day, Francisco Garcia was a heck of a player and a heck of a leader for those Louisville teams. I think that is a absolutely phenomenal comparison, and something that Bona should be absolutely just blushing to get that type of comparison from his coach.
So you heard it from Mick Cronin. You heard it from us. Bona expected to be an elite basketball player. They've got that presence in the front court, down low in the post. Expect some points and some boards to be grabbed by the freshman Bona, mixing in with all the other guys, including Etienne coming off injury, and even Singleton, who's, a taller guy, but he shoots the three. There's just so many pieces that we're just excited to see. A very long team on the wing and down low where they can play small, play big. We'll see how Mick Cronin filters this in as we come closer to March. A little less than 2.5 months away till the start of college basketball season, give or take a few days. That'll do it as we talk about Bona, an elite player. But now, as we talk about BetOnline, coming up in this next segment, Zack Handy, our betting enthusiast, will discuss what are the best lines now that college football is actually starting. UCLA, they're not playing. It's sad. We have to wait a week, Labor Day weekend as per usual, but there still are games on the docket. He's going to give you a couple of what he expects to be the best lines or numbers, over-unders, whatever it may be, to check it out. But with BetOnline, they're pretty cool too. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. Yes, even maybe that virtual Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy combination golf league. Who knows? That's just me speaking. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports wagering information, from live in-game betting, scores, and podcasts. They have you covered. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening today. BetOnline, where the game starts. Meanwhile, the game starts as we take a look at those numbers. Zack Handy, we have only a few college football games. I believe we have one in Dublin between Nebraska and Northwestern. I know it is Locked On UCLA, but we figured it's a BetOnline episode. Let's kind of throw some numbers at you since you can't put some numbers and some money.
I will still prove to you that I can bring UCLA into this segment without them playing this week. I will prove that to you. By the time we get done with this, first, we will be betting. Everyone's going to be watching the Ireland game, right? I think it's exciting. When have we ever seen college football or football in Dublin, Ireland? What an exciting time. So everyone's going to have eyes on that. And if you want a little, as they say, skin in the game, if you want to throw on the game in Ireland, have a little skin in it and see what's going on, I think there's money to be made there. Northwestern coming in as 2 touchdown underdogs, 13.5 points. If history has taught us anything, it's that we don't bet on Nebraska football. They just always underwhelm. They always disappoint. Scott Frost was awesome hiring, and we thought it was going to be different times and new and exciting, and it hasn't been. And I'll tell you who's gritty year in and year out, and that's Pat Fitzgerald's boys over there at Northwestern. That is a hard-nosed team almost every year. I firmly trust a 2-touchdown deficit there. So Northwestern in Dublin, plus 13.5. I mean, what do we do in scheduling a game for the whole world to see if it's going to be a blowout? That doesn't make sense. This whole world is going to tune into this game. It'll be a close, hard-fought battle. Nebraska may win. Don't get me wrong. Sure, maybe they come down and score with 2 minutes to go, and they go ahead and take the win. But 2 touchdowns, 13.5 points. My goodness, get out of here. I'm not touching that. Give me Northwestern with the 2 touchdowns all day. Gritty defense from Pat Fitzgerald.
Okay, and what's your second? Okay, is this how you tie it in? What do you got?
This is how we bring some UCLA into there. UConn, baby. Yes, UConn football, and the new head coach over there, Mr. Jim Mora, our former UCLA head coach, during the good Rosen years and an
Brett Hundley
exciting
years.
time. Brett Hundley as well.
Last time they had 10 wins or more.
A very exciting time. I always enjoyed Jim Mora as one of the UCLA head football coaches during his time there. I thought he did a great job, and it was unfortunate to see him go. And when those two had to depart, it is what it is. But Jim Mora and his UConn team, after, replacing and now leading a team that was just god awful last year, if we can be honest. UConn football was not very good at all last year. But I love Jim Mora. I think he's one of the better football coaches, and he's a great leader of men. And I think you will see an improvement in that team. And talk about a big spread. We're looking at 26.5 points here, people. So UConn plus 26.5. Our good friend of the UCLA program, Jim Mora, someone that we definitely like. Take your UCLA vibes. Give it on to Jim this week. We're not playing. We're not going to need them. Send them Jim's way. And I think you're safe there as well. Take the 26.5 points with that big spread. And I think Jim Mora's team will come out and compete week 1 and look much different than the UConn Huskies that we saw last season.
And who's UConn playing again?
UConn is playing Utah State. I'm sorry. I was so excited that
you're so excited. Yes.
Jim Mora, they're playing Utah State, who is actually a very improved team. Don't get me wrong. There's actually a lot of,
I believe they won the Mountain West last year.
Talent over there in the Mountain West. I mean, that entire sector kind of college football may be going away soon. I know we're looking at super conferences and everything's leading up to that in a few years, but there is a lot of talent over there. Nevada Wolfpack over there in that conference as well. Very talented team this year as well. Shout out Romeo Dubs, who was just drafted, and one of the new Packers wide receivers came from Nevada, came from that conference. So Utah State, a very good team, and very well will most likely win this game against UConn. But 26.5 points is a little steep for me, especially with the juice coming from UConn and a new, very respected head coach over there. I think you're going to look at a much different team, a much more competitive team this year in the UConn Huskies. And as I said, we can't have a segment on this podcast without us somehow, some way linking some Bruins into there. So Jim Mora and UConn, that is our connection today.
That's our connection. We'll finish off the show with our discussions of what are our favorite parts about tailgating at the Rose Bowl and what do we like to eat at the Rose Bowl, or just whether we like to eat at the tailgate, with September 3rd rolling around rather quickly. Since we can't wait soon enough, that's why we gave you some numbers. It's BetOnline Fridays. We had to give you some numbers. We'll soon give you numbers for those BetOnline days. So every time UCLA has a game, at least in football, just figured, all right, college football here. Here's a little taste, a little piece of it.
Just a little smidge.
Speaking of a piece of college football, thanks for making Locked On UCLA your first listen every day. The ultimate college football preview is here, a 7-episode preview with college experts, local team experts, and Odyssey college football insiders. I'm on that show with the Locked On Pac-12, all the teams with Locked On Pac-12, including the Arizona schools, and Locked On UCLA with myself. We're on that segment detailing how the Arizona schools will do, and most importantly, how your Bruins will do in 2022 and what makes the difference for UCLA to what's important about this season. What's important? We're on that. It's everything you need to be ready for the college football season in one spot. Search for the ultimate college football preview on your Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Just check it out. As we hear some words, we'll move on to tailgating time, baby.
The best.
The best. The best around. All right. Zack Handy, Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, you think we're goofs, like, comment, subscribe. Yes, hit that subscribe button. Help us out. We'd love it. Thank you. Appreciate it for all you listening. Go comment, leave some stars, whatever it may be. Comments on the Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you're listening to your podcast. Leave some comments. Leave some comments on YouTube. We'll try to get to them. Please be nice. All we want to do is have some fun. And speaking of having fun, that's how we end today's show. Locked On UCLA. What are our favorite parts about tailgating at the Rose Bowl? And what is our favorite thing to either eat in the stadium or drink? And what is your favorite thing to have that's tailgated or barbecued outside? What goes, Zach Handy? Tell me. I know you're struggling early.
I just, I had to think about it. I like my food. I had to think. I didn't want to just tell you something generic. But as far as tailgating goes, when you're at a good tailgate, there's a nice spread. You got a picnic table out, everyone brought some stuff. Guy in the back's grilling some meat for somebody, hot dogs and hamburgers type stuff. Someone comes and you get lucky enough, like some homemade chili, and then you get like a chili cheese dog at the tailgate. That's kind of a go-to. Like if someone brings something like that, Big Z is going to have a good tailgate. We're going to throw down a couple of those, get a couple beers in you, and we're going to go root for UCLA. Nice, loud, and proud. That's probably a go-to tailgate snack for Big Z.
Okay, is there anything specific in the Rose Bowl that, I mean, I know it's been, years and there's things changing. What's something
once I'm in the stadium, man,
you're just sitting.
Just give me some beers. I'm drinking my dinner once I get in the stadium. Let's pack some beers into Big Z. I'm gonna take care of the food. I'm gonna have my eating stomach on at the tailgate, and I'm gonna switch it, put my drinking stomach on once I get in the stadium.
Yes, I do know your tailgating history is pretty endless. It's pretty fun. He tailgates hard. If you think of tailgating hard, look at this man. He knows how it is.
Okay, well, what about you, my friend? What are you eating at the tailgate or inside the stadium?
Okay, inside the stadium, because especially with those first few games at the Rose Bowl, especially growing up, my favorite thing when it's so hot. And especially with it's so hard to bring things in the Rose Bowl. You need like 30 weird tiny plastic clear bags,
clear containers.
It's the toughest. It's the toughest venue to bring anything in. If anything, it's just ridiculous. It's not like Dodger Stadium where you can go bring food and snacks in. It's tough. Yeah. So if there's anything, I always love the frozen lemonade in the stadium.
Oh, yes.
That always hits. Yes.
Yeah.
Frozen lemonade was just, I'm thirsty. I need water. Frozen lemonade. That's amazing. Frozen lemonade always hits. And with these games being at 11 a.m., 11:30, and a 2 p.m. kick in the first 3 non-conference home games for the Bruins, you will need to be hydrated. A lot of frozen lemonades. For Zach, maybe spiked. For Zack Handy.
Hey, sure. Hey, you said it, not me. All right. Hey, man.
He said it. Meanwhile, you need your water, but frozen lemonade is where it's at. Tailgating wise, I'm simple. I mean, if someone wants to go throw some chicken and get that mixed in and have a nice little mix, maybe have some tacos, okay. But for me, just a simple,
carne asada or chicken.
Carne asada, fantastic. If you're simple, a tailgating. When you're tailgating and you have a barbecued burger, sometimes it's just better than when you have at home. It just makes no sense.
I don't know what it is. It's like the vibe. It's like the essence of the tailgate burger. Just makes it better.
The best thing I've ever had, ironically enough, this wasn't at UCLA. This is when my father, sister, and we went to Texas A&M. So shout out to the Aggies, although we don't like the SEC. But shout out to Texas A&M. They're very nice to us.
We'll give them a little bit of love today. One-time deal.
Jimbo Fisher. Having his, he gets hated on by Nick Saban. They need some love over there at Texas A&M. Roasted quail was amazing.
Whoa, good.
Oh, amazing.
I'll try anything. I'm not gonna lie. So it's like I'm not
roasted quail. Amazing. If you can have someone have like a roasted quail, and it was amazing, fantastic. So
I did not expect that when you said Texas A&M tailgate. I did not know we were going to go to roasted quail. That was not
roasted quail. Expecting. Apparently, it was like wrapped in bacon, and I'm not the biggest fan of bacon. It was amazing. I bit into it. Mind you, I already had like 10 pounds of food in my stomach. Fantastic. Right. Roasted
anything
quail.
Wrapped in bacon, I'm probably going to give it a go. Just okay. If you just hand me something and it's wrapped in bacon, you don't have to tell me what's on the inside. I'm probably going to give it a bite.
Okay, and then with cookies, the chocolate chips with M&Ms in it, if that's like a little, because, you're already full, whether you've knocked back a few, you've eaten a few, who knows? You need cookies. You can't fill up too much. I mean, you're already filled up. But like a cookie with an M&M, if it's an early game, like those kickoffs, maybe a donut. There needs to be something for
sweet.
Dessert.
Yeah, a little sweet for dessert. Yeah, I feel that 100%. That's always a go-to.
I know there can't be too much crazy, maybe dinner food because it's an early kickoff, so you need like all that breakfast food for those early tailgates at the Rose Bowl coming up. But maybe donuts, exchange it for cookies.
If you can get in a tailgate group where you have like a baking wife is part of the group or something, like someone comes with like their wife or girlfriend that likes to bake, that's always a plus because they bring like just the dessert stuff that you just don't think of, some little cakey pop things.
You tell me you don't bake, you can't make it?
I'm not a big baker, man. That is not my forte. I mean, I'm sure I could, right? Like, hand me a recipe, hand me some dough, I'll make it work. But if you could just find like that,
if you can find the grill master
or girl, yeah.
I mean, hey, I'm not even thinking about they need
to get those two as a pair. Like, we need to marry them. Like the grill master and the baking woman, they need to be married and then come to every tailgate, and that's how you have an elite tailgate right there. They're just like a power couple at that point.
I mean, I was just simply go to the grocery store and bring some cookies. Those are dope.
Oh, you're a cheater. I'm a cheater too. It's fine. I will definitely buy some store-bought stuff, store-bought stuff and bring it and be like, indulge, guys. I don't make, but I can bring. It's okay.
I mean, all we're here is to be thankful for those people who make our food and
Yes.
thankful for whoever it is who tailgates, whoever it is that tailgates for you, not tailgates, but whoever makes the food for you, bring them something. Whether it's the
Absolutely.
person who barbecues, who bakes, whoever, bring them food. For that first game, bring them something. Whether it's an extra drink, whether it's buying that frozen lemonade, you'll thank me later,
Yep.
especially during those hot games.
So good.
Whether it's just, hey, whatever you want, I'm barbecuing. One of these home games, UCLA's got like 30 billion home games. You turn up the tailgate. You turn it up.
If you're at a tailgate and there's like a grill master there that's just whipping and grilling the whole time, if you don't buy that man a beer when you get into the stadium, you're just not a cool guy, I think. Like, that's just like, I feel like that's the epitome of ungrateful. Like, if you were truly grateful for the beer master, you're buying him or for the grill master, you're buying him his first beer. I think that's just like rules.
Yeah, it's just rules. It is what it is. We're all having fun. It's just, we can't wait. We're hungry. We're ready. Part of the best thing of going to games is eating the food and hanging out with the people and just chillaxing, or even getting that frozen lemonade, whatever it is. UCLA Bowling Green.
Lemonade so bad.
1 week. We're so close. We're excited. All right, Bruin fans. We've taken enough of your time. We'll kind of get those hands in the air. Bruin clap time.
Okay,
and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA. UCLA 555. For Zack Handy, Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer saying thank you for tuning in to Locked On UCLA. We now get into game week. We'll have previews, reaction Mondays, still continue with our Throwback Thursdays. We'll try and get all sorts of experts, fan perspectives, everything going forward. We've finally got football. Go make Locked On Pac-12 your second listen. Again, Locked On Pac-12, your second listen with Spencer McLaughlin. Otherwise, for Locked On UCLA, go to YouTube, subscribe. Tell us what your favorite tailgating food is. Tell us if we're stupid. Make it nice. It doesn't matter. We love it. We're happy. Like, subscribe, comment, rate us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Thank you. This has been Locked On UCLA. Go Bruins.